Welcome to this Getting Started video on Quick Quote. In this video, I'll show you how to create an estimate using the Quick Quote tool. Before you create your estimate, it's a good idea to update your prices using the Download Prices button on the main menu. You'll find it here. We also recommend checking and adjusting your labour rates in the labour section of the price book. You can find your price books in My Settings. To start your Quick Quote, click My Estimates. Now click the New Estimate button. There are now 4 ways of creating an estimate in Estimator Express. You can use Quick Quote to estimate using a standard job template. You can also use Quick Quote to produce a custom estimate for renovation jobs or non-standard builds. You can import plans from Plans Express for rapid takeoff. Or you can produce a custom estimate from scratch using estimating calculators. For most standard jobs, the Quick Quote standard job template will be the quickest and easiest way of creating your estimate. Click to select the standard job template option. The new estimate wizard pops up. Enter a name for the job and select a job description. Click here to enter your customer address details. Type in each line of the customer name and address and tick this box if the site address is the same. Now select Price Book. The Price Book contains the prices of all the materials, labour and plant needed for your estimate. As we just saw, you can configure your price books from My Settings on the main menu. See the training video on price books for more information. Select the Quick Quote group of workbooks. Once you're confident using Estimator Express, you can create your own workbooks and add them to this group of workbooks so that they're available in every estimate. Select a chart type. Now select a specification for the job. As with the price books, you can configure your specifications from My Settings on the main menu. See the training video on specifications for more information. You can refine your specification further by selecting mini specs from the options below. I'm going to select a 75p facing brick, pan tiles, plastic guttering, UPVC fascias and barge boards, and the default HBXL decoration. You can save the job profile you've just set up, including the selected specification, mini specs and chart, ready to use in the future. Next time you have a similar job, select the profile using the Select Job Profile button. Once you're happy with your selections, click Create Estimate. The template selection window pops up. Now we need to select a template for our job. To help you find the most appropriate template, select a building type from the drop-down menu. I'm going to estimate an extension. When you select an extension template, Quick Quote will estimate the formation of the opening in the connecting wall of the existing building. It will also allow for the plastering and decoration of the connecting wall of the existing building, as well as the new extension. And of course, it will estimate the construction of the new extension, including walls, roofs, doors and windows. You can use the Wall Finish drop-down menu to select different wall finishes. Quick Quote will automatically specify the appropriate wall type, and we'll see this later on. Locate the template that you want to use and click on it to select it. Now select Configuration. I'm going to use a traditional brick and block with timber studding and cut roof extension configuration. This will determine the wall and roof construction methods and also the type of slab. You can choose which estimating sections you want to include in your Quick Quote by ticking or unticking the boxes here. I'm going to leave them all in for now and use them as a checklist. Once you're happy, click OK. Now we're in the Quick Quote and we can specify each element of the building and check the various options and dimensions. First, enter the overall dimensions of the building into the Quick Quote wizard. Now we can check the Quick Quote wizard options and key dimensions. I'm going to leave plastering and decoration ticked, but I'm going to untick decoration to fascias and soffits because we selected UPVC fascias. I'm going to change the cavity wall foundation depth to 1.2 meters. Click into the input box and type in the dimension using your keyboard. The units are shown here, so that's 1.2 meters. You can move between the input boxes by pressing the Tab key on your keyboard, checking you're happy with all of the default dimensions. You can press the Standard Settings button to adjust the standard settings. As you can see, there are tabs for the different elements of the build. If you click Foundations, you can see that Quick Quote is set to plan construct the excavations when they exceed 1 metre. We'll come back to this later. You can change any of these standard settings, and when you do so, the current Quick Quote will be updated. Click Save as Defaults to save these as default settings for any jobs you create in the future. Let's click OK for now. Now let's look at the external walls. As we selected the brick finish in the template selection window, Quick Quote has automatically specified brick and block cavity walls for the downstairs and upstairs walls. You can of course select a different wall specification if you want to. You could even select a different wall finish for the upstairs and downstairs walls, if for example you wanted half render. You can see the wall and cavity width dimensions shown here, but let's take a more detailed look at the wall dimensions by clicking the Dimensions button. The wall length has been calculated from the building dimensions we entered into the Quick Quote wizard. The wall height comes from the height entered into the Quick Quote wizard too. As you can see, the input boxes are colour-coded. A green input box indicates that the data comes from the Quick Quote wizard at the top of the Quick Quote window. This information can be overridden, but it'll be your responsibility to ensure it's correct. A yellow input box indicates that the data has been set at a certain value by Quick Quote. This data shouldn't normally be changed. A pink input box indicates that the data comes from the standard settings. You should consider opening the standard settings and changing the setting there, as it may affect multiple parts of the estimate. Hover your mouse over an input box for a reminder on where the data comes from. As you can see here, the foundation depth is set to 1.2 meters, as the external walls have picked up the foundation depth that we set up in the Quick Quote wizard. As per the standard settings, Quick Quote has added planking and strutting because the foundation depth exceeds 1 meter. You can click the Tab key to move between the input boxes, checking you're happy with all of the dimensions and options. Once you've checked the final screen of the Dimensions wizard, click Finish and tick the completed box to show that the external walls are finished. Now let's look at the floors. Quick Quote has specified a ground bearing extension slab and an uninsulated timber floor, based on the configuration that I selected. You can select a different specification, for example if you wanted an insulated timber floor. You can quickly update the thickness of the slab by clicking into this input box and entering the dimension. Let's take a look at the slab dimensions in detail. Quick Quote has calculated the total slab area using the key dimensions entered into the Quick Quote wizard and taking into account whether it's a suspended or ground bearing slab. As you can see, the thickness of the slab has been updated in the Dimensions wizard. You can change the figure in either place. Check whether the plant allowances are appropriate for your job, and then click Finish. Once you're happy, click Completed. Now let's look at the roof. Quick Quote has specified a cut roof as we selected a cut roof configuration. If you selected a truss configuration, Quick Quote would automatically specify a truss roof. The internal finish is currently set to plaster and insulate flat ceiling, but you could select a different option if, for example, you wanted to plaster and insulate the rafters. Let's take a look at the dimensions of the roof. All of these dimensions are highlighted in green, showing that they're based on the dimensions entered into the Quick Quote wizard. For example, Quick Quote has calculated the span of the roof based on the width of the building and the thickness of the external walls I've chosen. Quick Quote has even calculated the length of rainwater pipes I'll need. Sarking board is an option set in the standard settings. We can see that because the input box is pink. If you use Sarking board as standard, set this option to yes in the roof section of the standard settings. Once you're happy with the roof finishes, click Finish. And that's the roof done. Now let's add some structural openings. Select Openings to Existing Walls from the drop-down box. As we're estimating an extension, Quick Quote will allow for the formation of the opening in the connecting wall of the existing building. I'm going to select a structural opening small. The Dimensions wizard pops up so we can check the dimensions and options for the structural opening. I'm happy with the 2.4 by 2.1 metre opening. I want pad stones at either end of the lintel, so I'll leave it set to yes and enter 0 for bricks. Quick Quote has set the reveals to be plastered and decorated as we tick the plastering and decoration options in the Quick Quote wizard. That's all fine, so let's click Finish. Now don't miss this step. You need to enter the number of openings you need. I need one downstairs and one upstairs. Quick Quote has automatically opted to form the opening in the connecting wall of the existing building. So that's the structural opening sorted. Now let's look at the plastering to the existing connecting wall. As we're estimating an extension, which by definition connects to an existing building, we need to plaster and decorate the connecting wall on the internal side of the existing wall and also the extension side. Quick Quote will automatically plaster, decorate and skirt the wall, taking into account any structural openings. Quick Quote uses the wall area from the Quick Quote dimensions to estimate these tasks, so it's all done for us. Click Completed. Now let's add a bifold door to the extension. Click on the External Doors drop-down box. If you've downloaded the Crystal Direct bonus pack, you can choose to add doors from their catalogue. For now I'm going to select the templated bifold doors. Let's use the aluminium 3600 5-panel door. Now type in the number of doors you need. In this case, I need just one. If you add the wrong door, or decide to use a different one, you can always delete the door using the delete button here. You can add windows in the same way. Again, you can select a window from the Crystal Direct catalogue. Let's use the templated PVC-U windows this time. I'm going to use the PVC-U Windows 1200 deep 1800 by 1200 window. Now enter the number you need. I just need one upstairs. Notice that you can add heads, brick arches and sills to your windows using the top treatment and bottom treatment drop-down boxes. Finally, let's add wall starters to the Quick Quote. We can do this in the Walling Sundries section. You can use the Jump to Section tool at the bottom of the window to quickly navigate to a section of the Quick Quote. Click on the drop-down box, click Walling Sundries, and the Walling Sundries section appears at the top of the Quick Quote window. Click the Add Workbooks button. Scroll down, and at the bottom of the list you'll find Toothing In and Wall Starters. Let's use Wall Starters. Select the appropriate wall height. For speed, I'm going to enter the total length of wall starter required. I'm going to assume the overall wall height is 5 metres and there are 4 leaves to connect, so that totals 20 metres. Let's allow 4 hours to fit the wall starters, and once you're happy, click Finish. You can of course add plumbing and electrics to your Quick Quote. You can estimate by component type, for example radiators, or by group of items, for example plumbing for a bathroom. You can also add room renovation tasks with the Rooms tool. Using the Rooms tool, you enter the room sizes into Quick Quote, then select the items or tasks you want to estimate for each room. See the help video on adding rooms for more information. If you scroll down to the bottom of the window, you can add sundry costs using the Preliminaries and Sundries section of Quick Quote. Click Add Workbooks to add items such as scaffolding and management costs. You can use the Add Additional Template button to add other projections to your building to create bespoke building layouts. See the help video on adding additional templates for more information. If you anticipate doing a similar estimate in the future, you can use the Save to Library button to save your Quick Quote. Then it'll be available in the Template selection window next time you create a Quick Quote. For now, let's click the Create Quick Quote button and take a look at the estimate. After a few moments, a dialog box pops up asking if we want to review the lintels and cavity closures. Click Yes. Select the cavity width from the drop-down box, and Quick Quote will automatically specify appropriate lintels and cavity closures for your windows and doors. Click Apply. This screen is the job summary. We can see the cost of each component along with the total cost of the extension at the bottom. You can see that Quick Quote has produced an estimate by combining the dimensions from Quick Quote with the specification, mini-specs and price book you selected when you first created the estimate. You can reopen your Quick Quote at any time using the Run Quick Quote button on the ribbon at the top of the screen. Let's take a look at the brick and block cavity wall. Click on the brick and block cavity wall to select it, and then click the Open Workbook button. Let's open up the external walls and take a closer look at the dimensional output. Click External Walls and click the Open Worksheet button. To make it easier to review the output of the estimate, we can change the zoom of the screen in the Estimator Express settings. Go to the Tools Options tab at the top of the screen and click the Estimator Express Options button. Here you'll find a range of software settings, from zoom settings to print settings and backup and data sharing settings. I'm going to change the default zoom to 120% by typing 120 into this input box. Click OK to return to the dimensional template of the external walls. You'll see there's a column for the upstairs walls and a column for the downstairs walls. We can see the dimensions of the walls, the total area of openings, and the foundations for the downstairs walls. If we scroll down the screen, we can see the plastering and decoration options for the walls. And further down the screen, we can see that Quick Quotes calculated the total area of walls and also the total area of gables. If you want to make any changes to the dimensions or estimating options, we suggest that you make them in the Quick Quote wizard. Otherwise, if you re-import the Quick Quote, the changes you've made in the workbook will be overwritten. If you want to take a closer look at the material, labour and plant resources which have been specified and their quantities and costs, click the View Resources Output button. Here you can see, among other items, the bricks and blocks which have been specified. If you want to modify the specified resources or rates of production, we suggest you make the changes in the job specification, which can be found by clicking the Spec tab towards the top of the screen under the ribbon. Ideally, we recommend that you complete your Quick Quote, selecting all of the workbooks you need before tweaking the specification. You should also check your labour and plant costs in the job price book, which can be found by clicking the Price Book tab. We suggest you make changes within the specification rather than the workbook, because if you re-import a Quick Quote, Estimator Express creates a new version of each workbook, and therefore any amendments to the resources will be lost. Click the Summary tab to return to the job summary. Now let's take a quick look at the apex roof. Select the apex roof and click Open Workbook. Open the worksheet. You can see that Quick Quote has fed all the dimensions into the estimate. To see a comprehensive roof cutting list, click Filters and then select Filter Material Quantities. Quick Quote has created a complete cutting list of all the timbers required for the job. Take some time to explore the roof, or click the Summary tab to return to the job summary. As you've seen, in no time at all, we've created a detailed and accurate estimate. Now let's create a quote for the customer. Click on the Reports tab at the top of the screen under the ribbon. Click the Customer Quotes button and select the Quote Wizard by Build Phase option. At the top of the Quote Wizard is a sample build phase, showing what the quote will look like with the options you've selected. You can decide how much detail you'd like to show in the quote. You can have no resources specified, key resources specified, or all resources specified. For a more detailed quote, you can show phase totals, build phase pictures, always useful when quoting for domestic work, sales price including inflation, and customer-friendly descriptions. Customer-friendly descriptions give a generic product description, allowing more flexibility during the construction phase. You can also choose to show order quantities. For an abbreviated quote, select No Resources Specified and leave out order quantities. Select a cover letter option from the drop-down menu. We've provided a range of template letters, but you can create your own templates by clicking More from the Quote Wizard, or simply edit the default letter once you've opened your quote in Word. See the training video on quotes for more information. Once you're happy with the presentation of your quote, click Print. Set the VAT rate in the dialog box which pops up. After a few moments, the quote opens in Word. Notice that you can import your own company logo onto the cover page. See the training video on quotes for advice on how to do that. Here's the cover letter we selected. You can now edit the text on the fly in Word. Scrolling down, you'll notice that the quote is broken down into build phases, showing the level of detail you specified in the Quote Wizard. You can edit the description of each build phase if you like. At the end of the quote, you'll find acceptance forms and terms and conditions, which again can be set up in the Quote Wizard. So there you have it. In a matter of minutes, you've priced your job and created a professional-looking quote to impress your customer. Give it a go and see how much time you could save.